Hello, Mouse Planet. Alan Dalinka back with you for Fun at Home, show number 35, the series finale. That's right. As I said in the post for the show, I'm retiring the name. We're not going to call it Fun at Home anymore. We'll do some live streams from time to time, probably not on a particular schedule, but who knows? But with Disneyland opening up on April 30th and more people not spending time at home, and hopefully that's a good thing. We'll see soon, I trust. But with things opening up a bit and with vaccines out there and hopefully a brighter future, we're not going to call it Fun at Home anymore. Although, truth be told, probably somebody like me will be sitting at an anchor desk like this, hosting from home, because we get the most stable connection this way. At any rate, let's welcome in our West Coast CEO herself, Adrienne Vincent-Phoenix. Let me see if I can get Adrienne on the screen here. Geez, that's not working. We got an hour to wait for Adrienne. That seems about right, doesn't it? Oh, and now her chair is actually empty. She told me to do this, and now her chair is empty. There she is.
Oh.
She wandered away, and we gave her tickets to somebody else.
My token ID expired back at the end of the queue.
Hi. So, Adrienne, what's new on the West Coast?
Well, let's see. So much is going on the West Coast. Disneyland's opening, yay! April 30th, cast member previews are starting, I don't know, in like 10 minutes or something like that. The Touch of Disney event ended on yesterday. And then the cast member previews are ramping right up. And I cannot believe we're 10 days away. We're counting down 10 days until Disneyland reopens.
So did cast member previews registration go the same as general ticket registration did, or did they use a different process for that?
Well, I don't know what the process was for actually doing the reservations for the cast member previews. I do know that this morning they released, they allowed cast members to start making reservations using comp tickets that they've had since prior to the pandemic. And so that process opened this morning, and supposedly it went pretty quickly. But I will say that Disneyland is booking out for at least that first month that the park is going to be open. It is booking really quickly. So I think last I looked, there were only 4 days that were available to visit in May. But, you know, the best person to talk to about that is Jen from Getaway Today.
Well, let's bring Jen on in one sec, but I'll say the same about Florida. I've been pointing out in the updates in the last few weeks, Florida's been booking up a lot more than it had been.
Mm-hmm.
And pass holders had some availability leading into this week, but this week all the blockouts are gone for pass holders again. So this week was booked, next week was booked. There's very limited availability for folks who are day guests or for resort guests even, all the way until the 3rd or 4th of July right now. So, I mean, that's how far out things are selling here as well. But let's bring in Jen from Getaway Today. We haven't talked to Jen on the show in a while. I got to find her box. We got a lot of folks on here today, by the way, because it's our last show of this series. There's Jen. Welcome, Jen.
Jen!
Hello. Good to see you both.
What's new in the travel business, Jen?
Wow. You know what? It's either feast or famine in the travel business. But we're sure glad to have Disneyland be just, less than 10 days now to opening. It's unbelievable. We cannot wait. Last week was our theme song was like climb every mountain. It was like everything literally. And looking at that mountain, Adrienne, that's funny that was the image you showed today, because so many guests did look at that reservation calendar for so long. So we are excited. We've heard such good reviews that so many people have gotten reservations. Our big thing at Getaway Today, and you guys as well, is communication, just to let guests know, like you're saying, that it's not enough to buy a ticket anymore. You do have to do that extra step of making a theme park reservation. Luckily, a lot of our guests, your guests, they book early, so they do get that availability quick. We always encourage guests right when they book that same day to get those reservations, and they can always make changes. But some of those hot tickets like Disneyland Park and Hollywood Studios in Florida, you do want to get right on that and book earlier than usual. Of course, Disneyland, it's a rolling calendar, which we think was really smart, so that as things are changing, people will still have an option to get a reservation, just, with so many out-of-state visitors wanting to come. But just a lot to talk about. What questions do you guys have for us?
Go
Well,
ahead, Adrienne. I'm on mic, but I'm letting you chat.
Well, one of the things not so much a question, but an observation, we've been noticing as this has been going on, that a lot of dates are showing as sold out, and then they're open again, and then they're sold out and they're open again. One of the things that I've been catching was the Saturdays in May, right after, or sorry, the Saturdays in June after Adventure Campus opens. And we're seeing the 5th is showing sold out, and then the 12th will show sold out, and then the 19th will show sold out, and then it switches, and then they're available again. And so we're really telling our readers, keep checking the dates back, even if what you're seeing isn't there, if what you want isn't there right when you look, check back, because as somebody drops a reservation, then a reservation becomes open. And I've been watching the 12th and the 19th flip all day long with being available and not available. So it's been fun watching that.
We've been seeing the same thing, and we're seeing it real time with guests calling in, and they're changing things. I mean, they're like, well, I'm actually where it filled so fast in June. I think I'd rather go in May, or, I want to have a park hopper ticket, or I want to switch this or that, or, what, I just want to go after all of this and just kind of see how it goes for the first 2 months. We're seeing the same thing, lots of changes. And Walt Disney World, we saw the same thing too. And like you said, they'll open up new pockets because Disney's figuring this out too. They're kind of saying, I don't know if they put all their inventory out truly. They might have, saved some even to keep coming just to see how their systems work. So we're all learning this together, but checking on, not giving up on a date, and having your ticket in hand is important. And that's really, the fact that if you have that ticket number, we know that was kind of a delay on the opening day. So guests can kind of play around with that and see when they can get in to the parks.
Yeah.
But
and that's the thing is I'm sitting on tickets right now, and I'm glad for that. Oh, I lost you. Sorry. Lisa's asking if it's a good idea to buy a ticket now. So for out-of-staters, so that they've got that ticket in hand when the announcement gets made that out-of-staters are allowed in.
That's a great question, because one thing, the tickets purchased now are valid through December 31st of 2022. So there is a lot of time. We're very hopeful that California residents won't be the only residents for, too much longer. And so, I think it's smart in the fact that we do know how busy it was and how backed up the ticket queue system was. So, if guests feel more comfortable purchasing those in advance, even knowing that they can't make a reservation right now into California, I think that makes a lot of sense for people.
Jen, are the California tickets date tiered as well, the way Florida's are, with peak dates and non-peak dates, or did they do away with that in connection with the reservation system that got rolled out?
That's a great question. So at Getaway Today, we sell 2-day or longer tickets, and none of them are, they're not included in any tier system. So they are valid for any of the travel dates. So if you had purchased a 1-day ticket or want to purchase a 1-day ticket, there could be more tiered pricing and those types of things, but not for the 2-day or longer tickets.
Yeah, the tiered pricing applies only to the 1-day tickets, and there's the 5 different prices, 5 different tiers for that. But all multi-day tickets that you would get through Getaway Today, those don't have tiers. So, I mean, for Lisa, for another out-of-state traveler who's looking to come to California, I know nothing, but I could see a situation where Disney would do something like they did with this current block, where maybe they stopped selling tickets for a day or two before they started selling to out of state. They stopped selling tickets for a day or two to let people that are holding tickets make those final reservations before they opened it up again, and hopefully made the system a little bit more robust, so we're not seeing the Big Thunder Mountain loading scream of doom for the whole day.
And Adrienne, for guests that had tickets, Monday was so smooth because it was like, first, like maybe an hour or two, there was a half-hour queue, and everyone's like, that's kind of long. No, that was nothing. As we saw there, that was a piece of cake. But you're right. I could anticipate them doing that too. And I'm kind of hopeful they do that, because we do have so many out-of-state guests right now that are holding on to tickets that have held on to them for, over a year. So, I mean, that would be really awesome if Disney did take that into consideration.
Yeah, I hope they do that. And I really think that they might, just given the whole, those are the guests that have had their money. Disney's been holding on to their money for, a year. And of course, not Disney's fault, but that's just the way that it worked out. And so just as they did with the guests that had, the California residents that had tickets, giving them the opportunity. So that'd be great. But in terms of coming, and this is something that I know we're going to be talking about a lot next week. If you're coming to Anaheim, you may be in state, but you're still from the Bay Area or something. Where are you staying in Anaheim?
Okay, so we're excited about that. In fact, we're going to have our team, and I think some of you guys will be joining us as well for an Anaheim comeback tour next week. Anaheim has been hit the hardest out of any of the California cities. You probably are aware of it where you're so in touch with Anaheim, but so many of them were forced to close their businesses, and they're so reliant on Disneyland for tourism and to get people to that area. So we've been in business, of course, since 1990. We love our hotel partners. We've worked with them for years. We know them. They're small businesses. They're people who we can't wait to see successful again. So we are encouraging all guests not just to do just come to the park and go home, add a night stay, do a little staycation for you California residents to help these Anaheim hotels get back in business. And next week we will be showcasing some of our favorite partners. And there's so much to offer for families, especially in the Anaheim area. There's so many different room types, some with bunk beds, with so many great amenities. We're also going to be experiencing the new art transportation. We'll have our own private art, and they're going to show us how to use the app. So that'll be fun also for your audience to follow as it's revamped its services and how it's going to be getting guests to Disneyland more efficiently. So lots of fun things in store. We at Getaway Today, we love our hotel partners. You save the most when you purchase a package. And more than anything, it feels like you're just helping a city get back in business, a city that we love, a city that supports Disneyland. So we're super excited to be kind of the leaders of that comeback tour for Anaheim.
Yeah, I can't wait for that. We're going to have fun.
And they do call it the Anaheim Resort for a reason, right? I mean, they did all that plussing when they created Disney California Adventure to give the whole area more of a resort feel, to encourage even somewhat local folks to spend more time in Anaheim.
Yes. And that's been exciting. We had so many annual pass holders purchase our tickets. So we have so many new guests that they're like, hey, we've gone to the park for years and always seen people with your lanyards. We kind of thought about you guys, but we never needed you guys. And now we need you guys.
Right.
So I so many annual pass holders that were so fun to talk to. And just the other cool thing is our customer base outside of Utah or outside of California and like Utah and Arizona are like cheering on California. Like all of our Facebook lives, people are like, we're just so excited for California. We're just so excited for someone to get to go. So we have just such a fun customer base that just is, again, like excited to get this area back in business, excited to have a little more happiness in the world. It's been awesome.
Yeah, this is exciting.
Very good. Jen, thanks so much for joining us. Anything else you want to add for folks who want to come to Florida? I think I still have the Florida link for folks who want to get a quote to come down to Florida. Anything else you want to add for those folks heading this way?
A couple things, yes. So May 2nd is when the 2 days free expires. You have to purchase by then to get that 2 days free on your tickets for travel all the way through September. That's coming up really fast. It's been an awesome offer that so many of your viewers have taken advantage of. So that's a big one. And also the 30% off hotel special for the deluxe hotels. And that's also kind of coming close to an end. So I was surprised too with Disneyland opening. I kind of thought maybe Walt Disney World would slow down a little bit. We had one of our biggest days for Walt Disney World, of course, on the same day as the Disneyland ticket sales, because guests are just as excited as ever to get on a vacation. So yeah, Walt Disney World, the quote is really fast, and we get those right back to you. Less than a 24-hour turnaround. And our team,
I'm not shocked. I'm not shocked that you're getting all this Disney World attention, because as I wrote in our Walt Disney World update last week, with all the hype that the Californians were doing, and Adrienne in particular on our site, with regard to how to ride Rise of the Resistance, the reality is until California opens up to non-Californians, Florida is the only place in the world somebody who doesn't live in California can have a chance to ride Rise of the Resistance. And I say chance because that's getting harder and harder to do. I mean, last time I went over to studios 2 weeks ago, I think it was now, I tried for the afternoon opening, and at 1 o'clock, and I would say 1 second or 2 seconds, I got, sorry, we're full. So that afternoon opening didn't actually open, and there were reports that the ride had been down somewhat in the morning, and that's gonna mean there's less boarding groups that they're gonna call. But at 1 minute and less than a second, it filled up, if it opened at all, that afternoon. And I heard somebody in the vicinity of me go, "Wait, my app crashed," and I heard that all over the place. So it wasn't just me. Mine actually said, "Sorry, we're full." But Florida is the only place to ride Rise of the Resistance. Florida is the only place to ride Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway till what, 2023, 2024? I mean,
23. It hasn't been pushed that much.
23. I mean, obviously they also have the blueprint for it, so they're ready to go. And I showed in the opening, but I'll show it here, the sizzle reel for, let me make sure the sound's off in my ear, the sizzle reel for Avengers Campus coming in June.
Yes.
So exciting. It was so fun at Touch of Disney. They had all the lights on for the campus. So you could kind of like go up as high as you can over by Wine Trattoria and peek in. Did you do that too, Adrienne? And like kind of
no idea what you're talking about. Certainly would never have looked over a construction wall. What? Me?
Oh, okay. Yeah, you just like you haven't? Sorry. Yeah, you're the pro at this. But I was peeking everywhere I could. It looks so awesome. I've been starting all the Avengers shows with my kids, just getting ready, and it's going to be so fun.
And I have to really give kudos to Disney, how much things that they've built in the last 4 or 5 years look like the artist renderings. I mean, the buildings here on the Avengers campus look a whole heck of a lot like what they were showing us at Expo in 2019. Mm-hmm. So it's pretty astounding what computer-aided graphic design does for following a process that leads to these actual places that Disney's giving us.
And that they didn't just rest during all this and say, oh, it's too expensive. The fact that they improved so many attractions, I mean, it's awesome. For guests coming back, yes, a few things will be closed, but so many things will be enhanced, and a 25% capacity. I think people are pretty excited to see what that feels like.
All right. Well, thanks so much for joining us, Jen. And once again, let me flash the numbers up on the screen. It would be this one here. And as I like to say, tell them Mouse Planet sent you.
Yes,
yeah, that's a good idea.
We'll take care of them. We sure appreciate you guys.
Thanks, Jen. Take care.
Bye, Jen. Thank you.
Bye. All right. So there I am. Where's Adrienne? There's Adrienne.
I'm right here. They were so good last week. I really have to say they were so good last week with us, with all of our customers, all of our readers that were buying tickets through them. There was and Jen's never going to talk about it because, they work so closely with Disney, but there was a major glitch, and I'll say it, on the Disney side, and it wasn't anybody's fault. It was Disney's fault. But it wasn't Getaway Today's fault that Disney wasn't sending out.
You don't know that Disney did the ticketing in-house, right?
No, I certainly don't know that at all. Why would you ask? Anyway, but it was, Disney's system had a real glitch where they were not sending ticket numbers out. And so none of the third-party sellers, and it wasn't just, Getaway Today, it was any of the third-party sellers, Disney wasn't sending the information out. And so you would buy your ticket from a third-party seller, and then you'd still be in this line to make your theme park reservation, and you'd be waiting. And you'd be waiting.
And explain to folks who don't know. I mean, the Floridians are so used to the system that's been in place here for a long time. Mm-hmm. So when you're talking about waiting, you're talking about adding that ticket number into the Disneyland version. I think they're calling it the Disneyland app, but basically the My Disney Experience account. Mm-hmm. You actually have that ticket linked over to the account before you can get your park pass. Right. Right.
And so in order to be able to make a reservation, you had to know what your ticket number was. You couldn't just make a reservation. You had to know your ticket number, and Disney's system wasn't sending it to the travel agencies. And so the travel agencies couldn't get it to their customers. And so their customers, who have been sitting in this queue for 8 hours, 13 hours, are getting down to, oh, hey, it's going to be my turn in 10 minutes. Where's my number? And so I found out through Twitter that some of our readers were having challenges with that system. And I got on with Getaway Today, not through a back channel, through their customer service Facebook account, and just said, hey, got a challenge here. And they started going into the Disney system and pulling numbers out for people as fast as they could get them, before even the automated emails could go out, trying to get those for people so that they didn't miss their reservation window. And as far as I know, nobody that brought it to my attention missed their reservation window. There were a couple that were close, but nobody missed it. And that was really them going above and beyond to fix a system that wasn't theirs, that they didn't break. So huge plug for them, because and I was one of those people. I was one of the people that bought a ticket that did not get a number by the time my window popped up, and I'm like, but didn't miss it. So.
All right, well, let's chat a little bit about East Coast now.
Yeah.
I renamed the show after she won so many of our Jibe Time events. Mouse Planet Live with Shelley from On the Go and MCO. Let's bring on Shelley from On the Go and MCO. Welcome back, Shelley. And I got Adrienne completely covered.
That's okay. You can take me,
Adrienne.
Now it's just Shelley covered in her Mike Wazowski moment. Welcome, Shelley. How are you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing well. And Adrienne has gone on mic only, and Adrienne would love me to show this off, so I'm going to show it off. It's going to take a couple extra clicks more than usual to do it, but we'll do it. There she is. Adrienne wants us all to wait, but we could also just put the goat on the screen.
The goat, the greatest of all goats.
At any rate, let me turn that back off because I think it's difficult. There we go. There's Adrienne. Welcome back, Adrienne.
Hello.
Shelley, what's new and exciting in MCO?
Well, we got a lot going on around the theme parks and in the parks. And like you said, more people are coming than ever. So watching all of our wait times and reservations has been quite interesting lately.
I mean, I know I was flipping around the dial the other night and I saw you on my TV. What was up with that?
Yeah, no. So WFTV is working with Walt Disney World to do Astoria Week, and as one of their experts, I will be popping in time to time to help them out with their stories.
So here in Florida, we know for certain that Remy's Ratatouille Adventure and the rest of the Paris edition to the France Pavilion that everybody used to always call the Paris Pavilion before they added a Paris section to the France Pavilion, that's all opening up on October 1st.
Yep.
All the rest of the stuff that Bob Chapek announced in 2017 is opening in time for the 50th. We haven't heard anything. You heard anything?
No. I think we're all kind of waiting with bated breath. I know that they're still moving around pieces and trying to figure out the best way to make everything happen as they can. I think, of course, with everything going on with COVID and everything related to that, as far as like travel restrictions go and, people's willingness to travel, I think that's definitely impacted it. But I feel like having this celebration again be this 18-month celebration gives people the time to get vaccinated, that 2-week period after, to feel more comfortable and more empowered to travel, and gives Walt Disney World the opportunity to open up more resorts.
Yeah, and with the resort celebrating for 18 months, it'll still be the 50th anniversary celebration when I reach the 50th anniversary of my first visit, which was in October of 72. So this year will be my 49th. And I think, they gave themselves enough cushion there when they said open in time for the 50th. All of these things were pretty far along when COVID hit. A number of them had their construction stop. A lot of that construction resumed at various points. There's a number of projects we don't know about. Probably the best example of that is when you walk into Epcot, they've built the beautiful new entry plaza, and Spaceship Earth, which was supposed to have gone under the knife for its major overhaul, is still operating in its last overhaul, which has got to be about 10, 15 years old at this point.
Yeah, but they're putting the blinky warts on it.
What's that?
Right? Aren't they putting the blinky warts on it?
They're putting the landing beacons on it. The beacons of, the beacons of light that they're creating. Yeah, they're doing that. I mean, I think for me, Spaceship Earth was the last ride that I rode before the parks closed. And I was such a sap. I was crying, and the child who was behind me was like, "Mommy, what's wrong with that lady?" Because I was worried that it was going to go under. And I know that, they've said that the enhancements are going to look a little different moving forward. So, maybe there's an opportunity to sprinkle a little bit of those in before the 50th celebration ends. I think that's something that Disney's absolutely looking at. I mean, there's nothing I have to back that up. It just feels that way through the little things that I see going on in the park and the little vibes that I get from little touches here and there. So I think that while we maybe won't see the grand thing that we were thinking we might see for the 50th, I'm not discounting the fact that there's going to be, substantial things going on in every park to make this celebration fantastic. Very magical,
and of course, 2022 will be Epcot's 40th. So maybe they'll do it in connection with that and throw an Epcot party on top of it. The interesting thing to me, now that the old Communicore / Innoventions let's see, west building has been completely raised. The new views that opens up across the park are really weird, right? To those of us who are used to the park, the view from, let's see, where was I? I think I was over by the Germany Pavilion, looking all the way across World Showcase Lagoon at the Sea Pavilion, which I don't think I had ever seen from the south end of the park like that. It's really, it throws off your sense of direction. And for folks who have not been to the park since before the reimagination of Epcot began, you're in for some startling moments walking around the park right now, including what I'm seeing a lot of heated discussion online about the hardware for Harmonious, and whether it's an addition, a subtraction, what all it is. And right now I've continually reserved judgment on it, since I say the park is under construction, the lagoon is under construction. I'm going to reserve my judgment of what it looks like. Right now, there's some pretty darn big hardware out there in the lagoon.
Stargate.
Adrienne's showing us, I guess, her interpretation of the ring.
It is not
it's like this. Yeah.
No, it's not like that, because that is centered.
Yep.
That's true. It is off center, and I took that picture to point that out. I don't know why it's off center.
It bothers me so much. The center is right there. Like cattywampus, and I'm just like, this is like a little
Shelley,
tick.
You're more about around town than I am, both as a general beat for On the Go and MCO, and since the last few weeks and months. Anything else in the Orlando area that you think people should be aware of as new and different that may have missed my radar or our readers' radar in recent weeks or months or in the last year?
I really just think that it is all about the new things coming to Orlando, and Orlando adapting to those, new circumstances. We still have SeaWorld and Universal Orlando Resort opening up these great thrill coasters. Universal has announced they're moving forward with Epic Universe and the new housing development that they have going forward. Even the newest news that Icon Park is having Gordon Ramsay's Fish and Chips open up. So we know that people are willing to make an investment here in Orlando again. And I think, to me, that's the sign that things are really going to start churning and burning again, because once all those support pieces come back, it really makes this city hum. And, Walt Disney World is definitely, in my opinion, the heart of it. But watching all of these things start to come back to life and all these plans reignite, it just is fantastic. Like, I'm so excited.
And WFTV did report in the last week that Orlando International, MCO itself, is reaching pre-pandemic levels in terms of travelers again, which certainly means the economy here is picking up.
Yeah, and I mean, another thing is that, like, a lot of the resorts and the hotels and, lodgings around the area, even Airbnbs, are showing a huge uptick in, interest in bookings. So we know it's coming back here, and we know people are interested in doing it. And I think, once everyone is vaccinated, they have their 2 weeks, that confidence is gained, and we start doing more normal things like sending our kids to school and going out to eat more. Taking these vacations is going to be like it was before. It's going to be one of those things we really look forward to, and we're really planning. We're like, yes, let's go. I think that, everyone will still have these precautions in place, and, we'll be working hard to make sure that everybody stays safe and happy, but really having everyone come back to the city is just going to be awesome. And it's even, little things like watching on Facebook. There's a great Facebook group called Ear for Each Other, and it's been about furloughed cast members, starting these side businesses while they were furloughed. And every week, seeing more of them say, I got my call, I'm going back, and like seeing that. And even though I don't know most of these people, my heart just gets so excited for them because they're going back to a job that they super love.
Well, that's cool. Let's play you off for a moment here with the intro that we used to play Shelley on with so often, the Jibe Time theme song, since this is our final of the series. I'm not going to go to a Jibe Time question, but we'll play you with the And just like that, old times, MCO, Shelley on the go with MCO. Thanks for joining us, Shelley. Oh, and she's written down a note. Wait, I got to zoom it in. And it's a match. Imagine that. Thank you so much, Shelley. Stick around. We'll bring you back in a little bit, but let me bring on some of the rest of the Mouse Planet gang that are here. Let's see. That's me. That's not the rest of the Mouse Planet gang. Who do I have? Who do I have? I've got to find somebody in the green room.
How's my hair, Dalinka?
Okay. I think, wow, look at his hair here. That's something else.
Different.
Todd Pickering on the West Coast. How are you, Todd?
Hey, I'm doing great. I can't wait to go to Disneyland. I can't wait to go to Disney World. I'm going to go to both this year.
I was going to say, and do you have tickets for either?
I have tickets to Disney World, but not Disneyland yet.
And how did that happen?
I think I might go with a cast member.
I was going to say that was a hint to plug our sponsor.
Sorry, I missed it. I'm so excited listening to everybody talk. It's the first time I've gotten into it. Yes, we of course used Getaway today. And hopefully we'll be. I think I'm going to be checking out some of those hotels that she was talking about. So that'll be fun. I used to live in the Bay Area, so whenever I came to Disneyland, I would stay at the hotels, and then I started staying at the Grand California, which was nice. But now I live here, so I never stay at hotels. So it'll be cool to check it out.
Adrienne, is that hotel thing that Jen was talking about and you texted me about the other day? Is that something we can talk about more broadly yet?
Well, it's basically what it is there's 10 Anaheim area hotels that Getaway Today works with, that they're doing the Anaheim Comeback Tour. And so they're going to have us next week go and visit all 10 of these hotels and spend a little bit of time at each of them, learn a little bit about the property, about their amenities, what clientele they're good for, which ones are really good for families, which ones are good for larger families that need to be able to fit 5 people, which ones are good for business travelers, which ones have, really great wheelchair accommodations. So that's what we're looking for, what we're going to be looking at next week. And we will be sharing a lot of that live with you guys as we can. We'll be putting it out on our socials.
Now that I'm watching Todd changing hats down in the little window below, and he's got another one on here. You'll also highlight which of them have enough room to store all of his hats, right?
Yes.
That's very important.
So before we get too far into it, let's bring on our champ of appearances. As folks know, I've hosted all 35 episodes and put into our pre-show every one of those 35 cards dropping down here into the opening. But our champ of the show, beyond my hosting here and trying not to host every time, but I guess I run the software, is Chris Berry. And let me I brought Chris's mic on. We'll let this finish loading here. It'll take another second because
gosh.
35
Which one was your
episodes.
favorite, Chris?
Oh,
Yes,
I remember all of them so well. It's like my twin boys. Which one's better than the other? Neither of them are better than the other. Look at that. Oh my gosh.
And for me, it was
Still
35
going.
different title cards I made. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I believe every photo in every one of those where there's an actual photo is a photo I took.
Super producer.
Except I think the one of Jeremiah and Shelley, which I was actually in before I cropped myself out. But
Right.
welcome back, Chris.
Hey, good to
How
be
are things
back.
in New York?
Oh my God, it's spring. It's beautiful. Today was gorgeous. It was 70 degrees and sunny, and it was just great. I wore shorts to work. It's happening. I heard that music just before, and I grabbed a card and a marker instantly, just like instinctively. So it's so good to be back talking to you guys. And yeah, I can't believe that we, 35 shows. That's awesome.
And Chris, you've been on 33 of 35 of them, so you're really the anchor.
Yeah, it shows you how little I had to do during the whole thing.
Well, and honestly, for the handful of people who are watching live and those who will watch later, that was the point of all this. When we started this, when you pinged me and Todd Pickering pinged me way back last March, April, because April 8th was the first one. I think I checked last night. We were all under stay-at-home orders, and so what better way to deal with that than have fun at home?
I can wait for this.
So yeah, it's been a lot of fun. Let's bring in some more people that we've had fun with. I'm going to do it in order of their appearances. So let's see. I got Todd King. Todd King's got the next most appearances. So let's bring Todd King in. Welcome back, Todd King. How are you doing down in Kentucky?
Oh, doing great. It's Achoo season here.
Oh.
Everything's blooming. today was 70 degrees, and tonight it's going to have a 90% chance of snow. It's dropping to 34 degrees by 4 or 5 in the morning, so that's Kentucky for you. It's insane.
I like that, actually.
I don't miss that. Let's see. Here
But
in
now we have enough shows
Orlando,
to be syndicated, right? We can have reruns, right?
That's right.
I was going to say, if anybody would like to send me a check, I'm happy to send them copies of every one of the 35 episodes because, well, right now I have 34 of them on a hard drive. But after tonight's show, I'll have 35 of them. And right now, in terms of live viewers and how many of us are in the show, it's a tie.
Yeah.
So let's bring on Gregg Jacobs. He's got the next most appearances. Welcome, Greg. How are you doing out east?
Doing great.
I shouldn't even say out east. You're probably not any further east than I am. How are you doing up there in the Jersey, New York area?
We'll go north. Same like Chris said, beautiful weather up here today. It's Atchu season here too, and very happily, no snow coming. At least I hope not.
I know my old hometown of Chicago had flurries today, so you know.
Really?
And my happy birthday to Adrienne, whose birthday was yesterday.
Happy birthday!
And she's sticking out her
Happy
tongue.
Thank you.
I only reference it there because I was about to reference my birthday, which is another week off. And when I was in Chicago as a lifelong Chicagoan before moving here, it snowed on my birthday at the end of April on more than one occasion. So, you know, I don't miss it. That's that, right?
I might be skiing this weekend. So,
well, like
I might
Walt
head
Disney
in.
World, I will be celebrating my 50th for 18 months. So,
yeah, I already did that.
I am wearing this because I spent my 50th at Alani. And I'm wearing my Alani shirt today because I'd really like to go back to Alani. It's now been 18 months again, and I'd really like to go back, but I'm not ready to wear a mask on a plane for 12 hours.
Oof,
that's a little bit longer than I can go in a mask, and longer than I'd like to be in a tin can flying above the country and the ocean. Let's bring on Lisa. Lisa, welcome back. How are you doing?
Doing well, thanks. Just like you guys, we have 70 degrees up here in the Pacific Northwest, and soon it will be raining. But right now, we're enjoying it. We have a lot of Atchu season 2 with all the flowers in bloom, and I have 2 corgis barking at my door because it's dinner time. So
I was going to say it'd be funny if it was the picture behind you that was barking rather than the actual dog.
That is one of them. My daughter painted that. That's Murphy, and the puppy is Zoe. She's 9 months old now, and they're both barking at the door and jumping on it. I can hear them. It's dinner time, Mom.
Well, as we often do when we have Lisa on, we all hold up our copies of at least her California Adventure book. Anybody else got theirs? I don't see anybody there. Oh, wait, we got the Joy of the Mouse.
Oh,
so Lisa, you and I were exchanging emails this week. Why don't you tell folks what you've been working on lately?
Writing some more. I have a California Adventure Guide that's in the editing stage right now. It includes Avengers Campus. And then I've been writing A to Z guide of Disneyland Resort. And I've been trying to write about Rise of the Resistance, which I've never gone on yet. So I've watched a lot of videos. And
wait. We got somebody who sympathizes with that. Have you ever been on Rise of the Resistance?
That's a great face.
How about this one over here? Have you ever been on Rise of the Resistance?
No, but I've been to Galaxy's Edge.
Wait, I got one more. Have you ever been on Rise of the Resistance?
Galaxy's Edge, yes. Rise of the Resistance, no. Not yet.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
All right. The others who I didn't put on camera, we've all been. So
bunch of losers.
Well, and wait, I got breaking news here on my email, and this one's fascinating. This one is fascinating. I'm going to bring Shelley on, see if Shelley got this as well. Shelley, did you get this? You get this email from Patina Restaurant Group just now?
Wait, which one? Hold on.
It just popped up while we've been sitting here. It says, "Find your dream job at Disney Springs."
Oh.
So I suppose the good news is that Disney Springs Patina restaurants are hiring, which is fascinating because they sent a press release maybe 2 months ago to tell people that they were not in fact hiring at Italy, where there was a rumor that they were hiring that I hadn't heard until they sent me an email saying there is no hiring going on. But this is an actual Patina Group email that I just got, and there's even a $500 sign-on bonus. So if you're looking for jobs in the Orlando area,
if you are in
back
the
of the house
restaurant,
cooks, Back of the house cooks will receive a $500 sign-on bonus. Front of the house employees, excluding service staff, will receive a $300 sign-on bonus. So if you're
Well, I
looking
never
for
heard of that before.
Neither
Oh,
have
they're
I.
doing
So,
it all over here.
Wow.
They can't get enough servers.
Sorry,
There are a
Bob.
lot of restaurants that are doing takeout only because they don't have enough servers. I know that the Swan and Dolphin is also rehiring some of their staff. So yeah, I mean, restaurants are they're doing great here, but they don't have enough people to staff them, which is their biggest. And it's happening, unfortunately, all over the city, and some great restaurants are actually having to close.
And the fascinating thing, and I'm ask Adrienne to speak to this in California if she's aware of the detail, is so Disney always prided itself on having really strong employee bases where, you know, at one time they got to be super, super picky about who they hired. And then over the years, as they expanded and needed more employees, people would sometimes say that their standards for the quality of the employee changed. And then this week, Josh D'Amaro released the fifth key about changing the Disney look and you know, making sure that the company's being more inclusive than it historically had been, or any companies had been. But the interesting question is, as the economy starts coming back, you know, what are we hearing about Disney and the others doing to try to attract the best employees to come to them? Obviously, Disney's inclusion policy is part of that, trying to get the best, no matter what a person's individual background are, that might make them different than what might have been the case 20, 30 years ago. Adrienne, what are you hearing in California in terms of what they're doing in terms of bringing people back on at the resort?
Well, we are very heavily unionized, the Disneyland Resort is. And so right now, most of what's going on is just simply working through the union contracts and bringing people back. You know, Anaheim is much further behind in this process than Florida would be, in that there are still, you know, there's cast members that were on furlough who are being recalled now, and the park hasn't even opened yet. Very limited operations, you know, in when Disneyland opens, there's only going to be 2 table service restaurants open. So I don't see that as being an issue at the moment. I haven't seen a big hiring thing go out because Disneyland did lay off quite a number of cast members last year because of the pandemic. And those cast members, I believe, have to all be given the opportunity for a recall prior to Disney hiring again. And so
in Florida, that was definitely part of the union contracts. As they were laying people off, the full-time employees were guaranteed first shot at recalls in a seniority order.
Right. And so that, I think, is, you know, obviously that's what we're dealing with here. And so we're not even to the part of, I don't even know that most areas even have mandatory recall yet, which means that, so for right now, if you are called to go back to work, you can still say no, that you don't feel comfortable coming back to work at this time, and you just go back on, you know, the recall list. There are a few positions that are mandatory recall, where if they call you and you say, no, I'm not coming back, then you're separated. But I don't even think that there's a lot of positions that are on mandatory recall yet, much less everybody back on recall, much less than starting to rehire the cast that were fired. Laid off, fired. So yeah, I don't see that being a huge issue yet. I haven't seen anything. We're not there yet.
All right.
But I'm happy to talk about the.
I was going to say, Lisa, go feed that animal.
I need to go feed the dogs. I'll be
We've
right
got
back.
100 Zoom meetings with dogs in the background. It's just cute.
Murphy wants his food.
It's atmosphere. It adds atmosphere.
Adrienne, you're going to say something else?
Well, I'm more than happy to talk dress code if anybody wants to, though, because when I got the heads up on that, the first thing I said was, I'm sorry, tattoos? And Lisa forgot to mute.
All right, I've muted her. Go ahead, Adrienne.
Poor Lisa. The first thing I saw was tattoos. You know, that took me aback. Not that I have any
tattoos.
Well, not that I have any problem with tattoos at all, but it's such a not Disney thing.
Yeah.
And so, you know, it's like, okay. And, given that I'm from Disneyland, California, that we've grown up with Disneyland, and the whole story is of, Walt didn't want the, dirty, unkempt, smoking, stubble bearded, tattooed
Carny worker. Yeah,
party
carny
workers.
Yes.
Right. That was exactly what he didn't want. And that's why the dress code was what it was for so long. And so
from an intellectual property standpoint, if you're wearing the Tasmanian devil as a tattoo, my guess is that's not allowed. What do you think?
That's interesting, because I have seen, there was a photo that went around on social media of a cast member with a Deathly Hallows and a wand tattoo. So that was on stage. And so I'm curious as to how Disney's going to be handling that type of thing going forward.
Obviously at Universal, they're happy to make fun of Disney, and they'll put cast members or team members, as they call them at Universal, in a Disney t-shirt and Disney ears just for a joke, like at the Monsters makeup stage or somewhere else. I don't see Disney doing that. And the tattoos certainly I can't imagine that a tattoo is going to be appropriate for a face character. But for a ride operator, right, or a ticket taker, or whatever we call the people at the turnstiles these days, that seems like a no-brainer in 2021.
Well, Todd can speak to that more. Todd Pickering can speak to that more. The idea of a performer is a different thing. Cast members that are cast to portray a character have a completely different dress code and a completely different set of standards, and they can be held to weight requirements, and they can be held to you can't.
And that was
Cinderella can't have a suntan. So
that was the standard under which Disney operated for many years, though. That's why they called their cast as opposed to employees. They said, you're in a role, and in a guest-facing role in particular, and this is how we're casting the role. Right. And times have changed, and Josh D'Amaro's statement about it, it certainly matched my temperament. Is whatever we thought in the past that was wrong, we've moved past it. This is what's right. This is what we're doing now, and that's the direction they're going.
And if anybody that knows me knows that I'm about as liberal of an ally as they come, and so let your flag fly. I'm all over that. I do think that Disney has the right to maintain a standard of dress, and I don't see anything in what the new lookbook shows that I consider to be problematic. And I can actually, let me share my screen here and show a couple of these. Okay, so I think you're looking at, so what we're seeing here is we're seeing a cast member for Alani, and then I'm assuming this gentleman here is from Florida. From World. I don't recognize the costume.
The colors say Tomorrowland to me, but Florida Tomorrow, or maybe even the Living Seas.
But what is, I can tell you where the deviation here is from Disney's prior dress code is, first of all, he has a partly shaved head. So he's got a little bit of a shave going on here. Disney didn't allow that previously. It had to be, all shaved or no shaved. You couldn't do high-low styling, they called it. He is wearing locks, and they are shoulder length. And, the biggest deviation from this dress code, or the biggest change to the dress code, is they basically got rid of gender-specific dress code standards. So if she can wear her hair shoulder length, he can wear his hair shoulder length. There are no gender. The lookbook used to be divided by page. Male host could do this, female host could do this, male host could do this, female host could do this. There's none of that anymore. There is no gender specific information. It simply is you can do it or you can't. Let me change this. Let me show another one here. Tattoos, everybody was like, tattoos. This is what Disney's showing as being an acceptable tattoo. Now, obviously, we're going to see, some variations on that theme. Oh, look at that pretty little flower. So that there's nothing.
Yeah, you're not going to be seeing somebody. You're not going to be seeing somebody with a full sleeve, arm of tattoos at Disney World. I don't think.
you're not meant to, but I don't know what we're actually going to see, given, some of the things I've already seen people share photos of. It's like, oh, look at that person. That's kind of not what they were expecting. There's also, this gentleman, what's the difference between these cast members? She's got a pair of earrings. He's got a pair of earrings. You'll notice it is a pair. Earrings still cannot be worn individually.
Because Joe Rohde's no longer at the company.
Joe. But this is a change also that earrings can be worn anywhere on the ear. It used to only be that they could be worn on the lower lobe. Now they can be worn anywhere on the ear, so long as they are a pair.
For anyone out there, they can dress like this if they like, right?
Oh, yes. That's awesome.
Again, let your flag fly. This was a change that had already been made, so I felt it was kind of innocuous, but it was funny that the length that they went to here to make sure that this cast member had a bracelet that very much matched the colors of his costume. Because that's one of the rules, is that bracelets must be thin, no more than an inch, and they must be a metallic, or they must match or coordinate with the costume. So nice little bit of Photoshop there, and he's got a bracelet that matches his costume.
I thought it was interesting. I thought it was interesting when I was
bracelet at Disney World. So then that's funny. The cast member can buy something in the store and then go out and wear it, I guess.
But this is the one that I thought I was okay.
Before you move on from bracelet, though, I thought it was interesting that in what you sent me, that wearing a Fitbit or other exercise tracker would depend on what part of the resort you were working in. Because
they didn't have
some
Fitbits
roles.
in
It said some
Frontierland.
roles would create some roles. Well, in some roles it would create a safety issue too. I can imagine there's places where you can't have something on your wrist because it could get caught in a ride vehicle or something else.
But this is the one, and again, this is official, straight out of Disney's lookbook. This is not my Photoshop here. Our Haunted Mansion host.
Oh, there's my guy.
There's your guy.
It's my guy. I think it's Daryl, or I think it's David.
Dylan.
There it is. With his matching nail polish.
Yeah. And his paired hoop earrings.
Yep.
And again,
and if he greets you at the Haunted Mansion, he's wearing the right costume.
Yeah, he makes sense.
He looks appropriate. I mean,
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. And this is the thing, is I think that there's 1 or 2 days a year that some immature cast members are going to take the opportunity to flout the policy,
right, test the waters
in a way that is not consistent with what Disney is expecting here. I think
because guests never flout the rules,
right?
But,
so
why would the cast?
But I do think that there's going to be a couple of days a year that maybe some cast members are doing stuff that they're not meant to be doing, and they're going to have some conversations with their leadership, and hopefully they're going to have some conversations with some older, wiser, more mature members of their communities, telling them, knock it the heck off. This is not what we fought for. And I'm hoping that we don't see a lot of issues. The reality, though, is that
there's a difficulty, right? You've got this. Let's let everybody be the individuals they are, and this. What does society consider professional, and what does Disney consider professional? Because that's also a different standard. So right now, Disney's saying that our standard is more in line with individuality, but it's not saying anything goes.
No, and there's also, again, the first page of the lookbook is, common sense and personal responsibility, or I can't remember what they, put it into, which is basically saying, look, you are first and foremost a representation of the Disney company. You're not here, expressing yourself. You're representing Disney. And within those boundaries, we want you to feel safe and seen and comfortable and supported. But there's also, you may not have purple hair. We're sorry, you just can't, unless you happen to be one of the Tinkerbell characters. What were her fairy friends, and one of them had purple hair, unless you're Silver Sea or whatever her name was.
So you just made me remember that, I or maybe you don't know, I was an intern on Capitol Hill in 1988, and I always remember that one of the rules of visiting the Senate gallery or the House gallery was no hats. So if you couldn't wear a hat in the Senate or House gallery, because it wasn't appropriate, and there was a little asterisk for religious and whatnot. So for some reason, as because I had just put on our screen the panda ears and the panda antlers, the guy who was on the floor of Congress wearing the antlers was also violating that rule when he was on the floor of the House.
You mean while he was raiding the cat? Never mind.
Yes. So it just popped into my head. But I mean, there are what I'm getting at, of course, is that there are rules of decorum that we may not agree with, but you still have to follow. Like no hats in a courtroom, no hats in the gallery of Congress or the House or whatnot.
They're not gonna. I mean, they haven't said anything about tattoo content, have they?
Yes,
they did,
there's
right? Because there's not going to be
about
somebody there with with a bloody, whatever, or a shotgun or something devilish. I mean, pretty tattoos only, I'm guessing, or something of that extent.
Or like you said before, with somebody else's IP, right?
That's exactly it. I can't imagine that Bugs Bunny or Wile E. Coyote or the Roadrunner are acceptable tattoos within Walt Disney World. Oswald, on the other hand, since Disney got him back, that would be acceptable. And then you get in the gray area like the Power Rangers. Those used to be a Disney thing, but they're not anymore. And
they were.
But there are people out there who are fans. That's why Disney owned it for a while, or even when Barbie was a property. Go ahead, Adrienne.
Okay, let me read you tattoos. Visible tattoos are permitted with the exception of placement on the face, head, or neck. Tattoos must be no larger than a cast member's hand when fully extended with the fingers held together. Undergarments, which include matching fabric tattoo sleeves, are permitted for coverage of larger tattoos on the arm. So if you've got a full sleeve, you've got to cover that still. Tattoos that depict nudity, offensive, or inappropriate languages or images, or violate company policies, including policies prohibiting discrimination and harassment based on race, color, religion, sex, sexual orientation, gender identity, national origin, ancestry, age, disability, or any other protected category, or are not permitted. The violate company policies, my guess is that is where they're going to tell you, no, you may not wear Wile E. Coyote. Is because that would be a violation of company policy, in that you're not meant to wear the trademarked creatures of another park.
Trademark creatures.
That would have been a great answer for our show, right? I mean,
it's a great term.
If we only had that going.
Trademark creatures. I'll write that on a card.
Trademark creatures. Sorry, registered trademarks of another entity.
No, I like trademark creatures. That's a better line.
I think trademark creatures work.
Flows.
It is. Yeah,
it's a thing.
I imagine it'll be policed at the level that the inappropriateness of T-shirts of guests are policed, right? Somebody walks in with the 4-letter word on their T-shirt, Disney Cast is going to ask them to cover it up. Somebody comes in somewhere less than that.
Donald Duck?
Yes, exactly. If somebody comes in with something wholly inappropriate, the cast speak up, just like they're doing in the mask policy right now. The cast are required to speak up. I imagine the leaders are going to be charged at that same level. That if the cast in their departments or whatever, Lisa's raising her hand. I should unmic. Wait, I got to unmute her mic. Go ahead, Lisa.
Excuse me. I wanted to input here. I came on board with the Disney Resort when it changed from Disneyland to Disneyland Resort, and that was like the first time they had altered the dress code, in that men could wear mustaches, and a few other things were at a lesser restriction. And as a manager, we did spend a lot of time. Kids were wearing kids. Oh my God, it makes me feel old now. But a lot of the cast members had the pierced tongue, so you'd see the stud in their tongue. We had to tell them they needed to take it out. The plugs weren't a big thing yet in the earlobe, but we still had cast members wearing too big earrings, so we had to have them take it out. So that was a constant thing. Pierced eyebrows. So yeah, they will be on it. Trust me.
So, okay, as a former cast member, Todd Pickering's hair, acceptable or not acceptable?
Take your hat off.
It's
acceptable.
Which hair? His COVID hair or his current hair?
And I can't wear his ears because they only have one earring.
I was going to say that's right. His earrings are his earrings are more of a tribute to Joe Rody.
Oh, yeah,
But they sold it at Disney. I can't wear it anymore.
I don't know if they should sell those.
Got another.
Oh,
There we go.
There you go.
there it goes.
Hey, did you ever get the one back that Adrienne had of yours?
Yes.
That's here. That's my
too much
that's
work.
my shag. No,
Speaking
it's
of
all
hats, guys, I have to change mine and go be a scout parent now.
Well,
so
it's that time.
All right, well,
it is that
Adrienne,
time.
we'll give you your final Mike Wazowski moment. Thank you for joining.
Oh,
Thank you as always.
Thank you.
And thank you for letting us put Mouse Planet on everything.
Yeah. Thanks, Adrienne.
All right. Bye, you all. Bye, Shelley.
Bye.
All right.
Bye.
Adrienne, take
Bye.
care. We'll see you soon.
It is that
All right.
time.
So how does that end up on me every time I take people off the screen today? I don't get this. You would think I still use this. I produce Gary Meyer's show every week, and the buttons still don't always do what I expect them to. And I don't know
The
why. that
camera
is.
loves you.
Technology.
I suppose. So anybody else have anything else to share? We've gone over an hour. It's been fun being fun at home.
Gone over a year.
Yeah.
I know some of you guys want to talk some other topics on separate shows going forward, and we'll find ways to do that going forward.
That's a good possibility.
I know several of you are thinking of being in Florida later this year. Do you want to talk about that at all?
It's
You
happening.
guys want to talk about that?
Well,
I know
we're
Shelley
all excited
doesn't.
that Todd King gets to go to Galaxy's Edge, and hopefully we can all ride Rise of the Resistance. I mean, you think about it, Rise of the Resistance was only 2 months at Disneyland.
Yeah.
Only 2
Very, very
months.
short.
Oh, and we only had it an extra month, right? We got it in December, and
right.
Well, Star Wars Galaxy Edge, June, end of June to mid-March.
May
So
31st.
that wasn't very long either.
Yeah.
And yet I managed to take a picture in front of both the West Coast Millennium Falcon and the East Coast Millennium Falcon on the same day, or 24 hours.
That's why we're all going to go.
Castle.
What's that?
Like going castle to castle.
Well, it's funny because in my Facebook feed from this week was the day that Jeremiah Good was at Tokyo Disneyland, and I was in front of Cinderella Castle here, and we took the pictures, and I labeled it something like time travel because we took the pictures at the same time, but it was tomorrow over there, and it was today over here, and night and day, and all that fun stuff. Let's see what else. So Todd, you're finally going to get to go to Galaxy's Edge. Did you see? Adrienne had pointed out to me yesterday, and I included it in today's update because I don't follow this with the granularity that Adrienne does. Savvy's Workshop raised the price of those hand-built lightsabers to $219.99. You are saving up that extra.
That's right.
For that.
That breaks the bank.
Oh, there is nothing will stop me from getting it, so that's
You need your
fine.
lightsaber.
And then there's the extra savings that you and I joked about in a text exchange this week when Josh DeMauro showed off that new retractable lightsaber that there's a patent on that sounds like Disney Consumer Products is looking to put out there in the not too distant future.
That may have to happen.
Yeah, I'll start a savings account for that one right now.
As our Star Wars guy, what's the price point where you go, okay, that's a terrible idea?
There isn't one.
That's what I was
The limit
thinking.
does not exist.
It depends on the thing. It depends on the thing. I mean, what do you collect or what do you obtain from the Star Wars world? And when it comes to memorabilia from the parks, it's how much is too much, and that seems like that amount is hitting close there.
Yeah.
And if you're going to go buy costumes, like full-fledged costumes, those get into several hundreds and over thousands of dollars. If you're a Star Wars toy collector, that can get very expensive. The Hasbro owns all the toys, and they're putting out these terrible, huge, very overly expensive monstrosities that are just they're only for collectors. They're not even you can't even play with them. So it's like they've kind of lost the plot on a lot of those things too. So it all depends on what you want. And for me, it's a little thing here and there, a little bit of everything, but not all of everything. So,
My son's
I don't know if that answers it.
My son's picked up the Stormtrooper helmet when we were down at Galaxy's Edge, and they had like a $100 gift card. And they're like, I'm gonna buy this, and it was $400.
Yeah,
That's it. Yeah, Dad's not bridging that gap, guys. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but then they can make something that's just as good for a less price. That is, more playable and fun and affordable, and it would be enough that you need. Now, I recently picked up this 3-volume tome of the official Star Wars encyclopedia.
Ooh.
And
very cool.
That's a beautiful set.
This is my light reading until October. So
maybe you can give tours of Star Wars.
Yeah, I was going to say
Galaxy's
maybe you
Edge
can
to,
explain. Maybe you can explain more than the surface level detail I know about Batuu. I mean, Shelley, you were at the media days like I was at Batuu. How deep is your knowledge on Batuu and how it fits into Star Wars canon?
Well, I've tried my best to read a lot of the extra peripheral things because it seems like they've hid bits and pieces in children's books and in a lot of the young adult novels, as well as some of I guess their newer novels that have come out. I don't think there's been one. I mean, I'm trying to think. Todd King, has there been one that's just specifically been about Batuu?
Actually, I can answer that. One of the books that they gave us at the media. One of the books they gave us at the media event about Vi takes place on Batuu, and I read about a third of it before it lost my attention because I'm not that deep. And my souvenir from 2020 are the mugs. This exclusive limited edition MousePlanet 5 mugs that I've made and gave to the team. I also see in the chat here, Nan Kent, who also received a mug for being our prolific commenter, hopes that she can see you guys all when you visit Walt Disney World. And actually, Nan points out that she and Dave, her husband, have watched all of our episodes. So thank you, Dave and Nan. Dave and Nan are good friends. I like hanging out with them. Anyone else got anything else before we say see you real soon?
Oh boy.
Oh.
Shelley, Shelley, I'll put you on the screen. Anything else? All right.
No.
Gregg Jacobs. Go ahead, Shelley.
Wow.
No,
so long, Shelley.
All right. Shelley's gone.
Champion you're talking to.
Gregg Jacobs, anything else? Oh, look,
Friday,
the sun has set.
Sorry.
The sun has set behind you, I see. Go ahead.
The holodeck is back finally. I can get a partial holodeck.
There we go.
Article on Friday coming up about all the shopping places I want to visit when I finally get back to Walt Disney World.
Ooh,
so
you
can see what I've been jonesing for.
All right, the shareholder in me is looking forward to you spending. Lisa?
The new mouse gear.
I have an article coming up in a couple weeks. It's a preview of Avengers Campus. And I think I'm going to take a trip down to Everett, which is about an hour south here, and visit Funko headquarters. Might do a story on that too. You never know.
Get some of those Funko Pops. Todd King, anything
Chris
else
Berry.
you want to share?
No, just riding the waves of Star Wars, and May the 4th is coming up, so hopefully something neat and special will come out with that.
How about the new Star Wars series on Disney Plus? Any thoughts?
Which one? There's about 800.
Well, I was going to say they announced 10 of them when we talked about this a few months back.
The Obi-Wan Kenobi one, I think, is the most exciting for me because it's reuniting Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen in their respective roles as Obi-Wan and Darth Vader. So that should be very interesting because that touches, the main storylines, and it'll be really interesting to see that. And it's a mini series, so it's only going to be limited. So I think they'll really compress something very special.
So
there.
it's going to be the WandaVision of the Star Wars universe.
I guess.
We'll see. Quite a description. The Bad Batch is next, though, right? The Bad Batch is the first. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey.
Anything else you want to share? I don't know if you saw behind me. I see your orange bird staring at me.
There he is.
My new orange bird from this year's festival has joined the other orange bird.
There they are together.
There.
I love orange bird.
Last week, this past Friday, I had a top 5 about the journey into the imagination with Figment.
Yes,
which,
I recognized my photo as
Yeah.
the cover photo of the article
Yes.
with the sun shining.
Thank you,
with the
thank
sun
you so
shining
much.
through. Yes.
And I got quite a lot of feedback on that. People are really, people either love that Figment or they can't stand that Figment. So it's
He's cute.
most people love Figment, but they disagree with the direction that the ride has taken, the third iteration. You know what I mean? I liken it to being I said I'm a big Springsteen fan, and when you go online, the online fans of Springsteen tend to feel like after 1978 he did nothing, and it's kind of the Disney people can get that way. It's like if it's not the first iteration of Figment, it's not nothing, and I don't go that way really.
Actually, I was going to say,
I had a good time in that ride.
Actually, the Figment that's on my shelf here, that's a first generation. I mean, he's got the Kodak sweater on.
Oh, that's awesome.
We bought that at the
Figment.
park. We bought that at the park in probably '83.
Cool.
So I mean, that is first generation. My mother didn't want it in her house, so it ended up in my house after all these decades. All right, I think that's everyone, right? I got everybody. Everybody said something. Thanks so much for joining us. I forgot Todd. How could I forget Todd? I put him on the screen so much, and I mean, he is a. All right, enough of that. Go ahead, Todd. I'm sorry.
The new
wait. Chris Berry, put that back on camera.
I still have these.
There we go.
They're in my desk drawer right here.
Oprah Mountain, still my favorite attraction at Disneyland. I miss it.
So, other than my turning you into a clock and playing with your hair and having you as a newsman with big hoop earrings,
I can't believe I do all that stuff.
So, for those who don't know, I've been working with Todd and his green screen, inserting him into scene after scene for the Gary Myers Show every week. And now, did you get the bling that Gary sent you? The 3-air personal air purifier? Did it come?
I think I did, but I was working, so I rushed to get here for all you lovely Mouse Planet people.
So Gary definitely wants that. Gary definitely wants that. So we'll see you hawking that in an upcoming spot as well.
Sounds good. I will check right after the broadcast is over. But I cannot wait to get back to Disney. I cannot wait for Avengers Campus. WandaVision got me so excited, and being able to go onto Buena Vista Street. We'll be there. Adrienne and I are starting to cover a few things. Please go to El Capitan. I saw Raya and the Last Dragon wrote a critique on that, and they're open again. So they're doing a great job with social distancing. So be safe. And
it just occurred to me that we've had a whole show and I never once clicked on this button.
Never once, huh?
Never once did you
click on that button, everyone.
I wanted to say something, but
I almost forgot. How about that? So with that, I think I'm going to say see you real soon.
Yeah.
Stick around to MousePlanet.com. Lots to see, lots to read. We'll do some more live stuff eventually. And thanks for having fun at home with us, everyone. Let me find the right sign-off button. There's the sign-off button. Goodbye, everyone. Goodbye.
Bye.